code with very specific transactions. So it's like a class in coding. Okay. The second thing is that its computational power is extremely limited and expensive. So it can run code, okay, in this closed environment of the smart contract, but the more complex the computation of the code, it costs more to run it. And third, this is immutable generally, which means once you uploaded the code out there to the cloud, you generally have no control over it. Okay? So you can't upload something with bugs that actually costs money to run and you need to seed it and say, okay, we'll fix the bug after. You actually need to upload the final version because there is no other version. Okay? Your contract can die. You can write another contract. Okay? But basically, it's from computer science, it's something that should work on very discrete. Of course, as I said before, more computation means more power, more ether is needed. There are a lot of different applications. So the difference, again, Bitcoin is a wallet. There are a lot of exchanges. People transfer Bitcoin from one another. We saw crowd sales in Bitcoin. People from all around the world use it. Ethereum is something different. Ethereum is a decentralized operating system that is running applications. Those applications, to run them, it costs ether. Okay, so if I create the greatest application ever, but it requires for me to run it, for eToro to run it, it requires ether, then I need to buy for us ether in order to run that application. Okay, so it actually has cost, like fuel, okay, or actually gas. There are numerous applications up there. Mist is the browser, so it's not called a wallet, it's actually called a browser. Why? Because on Ethereum, by default, you already have hundreds, maybe even thousands of different tokens, so different coins, different smart contracts, and you can actually browse them. They can actually also have a user interface, which is built on top of that. But basically, this is a cloud filled with apps. Every smart contract is basically like a micro app running on EtherGas. And you can build almost anything. Again, the Bitcoiners, okay, a lot of the hardcore Bitcoiners, people who hold a lot of Bitcoin, still say Ethereum doesn't work. Okay, so now I think it's getting a bit harder for them to say it, but we need to understand all of this is sort of like beta stuff. Okay, and Ethereum, in theory, can run any type of code on the cloud. There are a lot of questions regarding scalability and how much can it actually run large-scale computational projects. So this was very quickly about Ethereum. And now, back to the bath. Okay, Paz will explain to you why decentralized computing changes everything.
You're getting good at this. Take. Go ahead.
But I'll just ruin the surprise, by the way. This is now, after Paz, we have 5 minutes about new IPOs over the Ethereum, in the Ethereum world, which are raising about $10 million a week. So go, and then we'll have our guest 5 minutes.
Okay, so in the old days, which is around 50, 60 years ago, the philosophy, the structure, the infrastructure in the world of computers was like this one. You have mainframe, and you have remote terminals, stupid terminals that were connected to this main server that did all the work. Yeah? And everybody just consumed the results. Later on, when we were kids, the world has changed, and everybody remembers that we got our first PC, etc. It was Apple IIe, and maybe even before it was Commodore and others. And everybody, and this was the philosophy that ruled the world for, I think, the last 20 or 30 years. Everybody has their own PCs in their home. They developed, they deployed client application, etc. And then games and anything that you can think about it. And of course, later on, this philosophy or idea was presented, I believe, only maybe 15 or less 20 years ago. One of them was, I think, Steve Jobs that really pushed this philosophy that you have a network PC and, you have a kind of a PC that does a few, computations or some methods, running some methods and doing some work, but main solution is running on the server. And of course, we use it also in eToro, right? Our servers are running the main eToro applications, and we are just connecting through it with a simple terminal, which is really the browser. And of course, if you're looking a little bit into the future, which is already happening right now, decentralized computing. Everybody that runs the nodes of the blockchain that you are connected has the application on their PC, on their server, on their mobile. But really, it is not located anywhere. It is not controlled by anyone. It is not owned by anyone. Everybody has it, but no one controls it. And still, all the people are getting the same results and the same effect, the same UX, whatever. And by the way, eToro is also investing some efforts in Ethereum and also in Bitcoin. We have, a small team here. You can visit us, on the trading backend. And we bought eToro, which is, where is Miri? We bought the eToro DNS, right?
Okay.
So
now we have Alon, who is the founder of CoinDash, a new startup that basically deals with ICOs. ICOs, you just give it to Alon immediately. ICOs is basically the new, very exciting way to raise money for startups in the Ethereum world. And basically, its initial coin offering replacing the original IPOs, which really don't work for startups, but for more mature companies.
Hi, everyone can hear me? First of all, you have an amazing office here. I've been in the old one. This is a step forward, definitely. How many of you have Ethereum, Bitcoins, whatever, other crypto assets? Wow. Okay. So who holds the private key? Okay, so you are the crypto owners. Everyone who holds CFDs is something else. Anyway, I've been in the blockchain space for around 4 years now. I've been a developer, worked on Bitcoin, the reference client, actually on Ethereum, which was my biggest mistake. I never invested in Ethereum, although I knew it's one of the biggest things will happen in the blockchain space. Developed my own wallet, and now CoinDash. And so I want to talk with you about what I think is the biggest opportunity for blockchain technology to actually change the world, which is a new way of funding, essentially. When we think of the tech revolution, right, it's as much as a tech revolution as it's a funding revolution, right? Because a lot of the early companies needed money, and the old financial sectors didn't know how to really finance them. And so the VCs, angels, all of those things that develop around that are developed because and due to the tech revolution. The same thing we're seeing now with blockchain, actually. Traditional funding mechanisms don't really understand what we're doing. It's really hard to communicate the value. And so blockchain companies like ours needed to find a new way to bring money in so they can operate. And so it's the same kind of revolution we're seeing, but now we're using the blockchain for it. And so the title is initial coin offering. And the meaning is essentially a company issues new tokens. A lot of the tokens, by the way, are issued on Ethereum because it's the easiest way to do that. They issue a new token and crowd sell it to everyone. So any one of you who holds Ethereum or Bitcoin can participate, buy the new token, obviously with the intent of gaining some value, but also participating in the activity of that particular company. And usually the good companies can connect the economic value of the token with the economic value of the platform, right? Platform uses more users on the platform, more users need the token, and the token's value goes up. And what I think that's the killer app currently for blockchain technology, because there's no other technology that can do that with the speed it can do with it, and the ability to do amazing stuff, and we'll see it towards the end. Just some numbers. So Ethereum was actually one of the first big ICOs, right? Back in, I think, in 2014. Yeah, 2014. It raises around $18 million. People just deposited Bitcoins and got Ethereums when the actual blockchain went up into the air. The most recent ones are, and that's truly amazing. So Golem 2016 raised $9 million in 15 minutes. That means that now I've started a contract. 15 minutes from now, I've raised $9 million, sold out every token I wanted, and raised $9 million in Ether. That was Ether. And it's not something that happens once a year. It's something that happens once 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, the big ones. ICOs happen every day. Today was 2. Right? So the big ones happen once a month. Melonport, which they develop a decentralized hedge fund on the Ethereum blockchain, raised $2.5 million in 3 minutes. Right, 3 minutes, sold out. And that's it. And the last one, I think, is just Eternity. They've raised $5.5 million, I think, in a couple of days. And so that's kind of the numbers, just kind of a projection of where the market is heading. 2016 were around, I think, 70 ICOs. There were more, but 70 ICOs actually raised enough money. 2017, we're expecting around 300, right? So that's the rise. Any of you are interested to find out the next ICOs, the previous ICOs, a bit of market research, you can go to Smith & Crown. They're really good. Crypto market, a bit more market oriented. And Ethercamp are actually Israeli guys led by Roman.